Okie dokie, so what are we doing here on this planet? No, what are we doing here for this sketch? That's what I want to know from myself, and I had some ideas, and the first thing that popped into my mind was let's play and have some fun with a video clip in Resolume. So I thought it would be cool to do a little bit like what we did last time, where we had the envelope follower affecting the MIDI LFO, and that was running through loop BE out into Resolume. So got ourselves a really amazing pulse sound there, and let's look for the max audio effect envelope follower. Cool. That's looking good. And let's put an LFO in here. And I think for this one, I want to, let's pull the rate down to 0 and the depth down. And I want to map the follower to the offset. So that will make the envelope follower essentially control the MIDI CC out. So let's choose CC01, and let's make sure we've got Resolume open here, and things are mapped properly in Resolume. All right, cool. So everything looks good in Res. I think, yeah, we want CC1, channel 1 on this pitch. And let's go ahead and unpause this clip. So we got to go nice and slow, frame by frame, pretty choppy. Let's turn on our MIDI CC out. And see if it's doing anything over here. Doesn't look like it's doing much, but let's push the gain a little bit. All right, make sure we got the right MIDI CC there. And sometimes the loop BE app is muted. That is not muted. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so let's and it doesn't look like, I see. It's a pretty obvious problem. Can't believe I didn't catch it before. We need to map this out. Okay, so now we have audio essentially controlling the speed of the video clip, which is kind of fun. And I think I want to do one other thing. Let's get a brightness and contrast in there. And we will have the envelope follower / LFO MIDI combination also controlling that. So that's a bit intense. I think we need to temper that a little bit, so we can play with our range here. And so it doesn't go up so high. Cool. So that's, that's a real cheap way to get video footage to look like it's, responsive. And I think I want to mess with the range just a little bit more. We could play with the range inside of Ableton, but I want to go ahead and have our full 0 to 127. Okay. Now let's turn on this trails a little bit. So it's a little bit more smooth. That way I won't have a seizure while I'm trying to do the sketch here. As fun as that sounds. Okay, cool. So let's pull Res out of the way. Go back to Abes. Okay, and we can mess with the video a little bit later, but for now, this could be fun. We've got ourselves a nice pulse here, but let's Cool. And we might have to pull down the contrast a little bit more once all the sounds start going. I usually find I'm always having to dial things back. We could drop this envelope follower on the master here, and that would essentially cause the entire audio to control resolume. So let's pull some inspiration from a past project. I've got this folder here with a bunch of old stuff that I've been slowly migrating over, and we will get to it all eventually. Some of these sound generators are actually really fascinating. This bass shaker, I don't even remember what these do. They were made years and years ago. And we'll just drop this in here. Very cool. And let's pull this in and just have a listen to it. Actually, I want to get that in a MIDI track. Nice. Now I'll go ahead and stop the playhead, reset the playhead. I want to move this envelope follower over here. And let's turn this thing on. All right, so we've got two things coming out of this. A very hot shaker sound. An interesting bass kick type thing. That's cool. It's nice to have sometimes a lot of sounds coming out of just one simple source to be able to work from easily. So cool. This is now in our racks section to be pulled from and utilized later. Wow, okay. So there's a lot of craziness going on under the hood here. We've got a vinyl distortion. Looks like we're pushing the mids all the way out to the side. EQ shaping there. And we've got this auto pan section happening here. It looks like we've got two auto pans. One is set to invert, so that must be where the sort of clicky short sounds are happening. And I see these are mapped. I wonder if they're mapped to the exact same. Looks like 0.05 and 9090. So yeah, so they're running at the exact same tempo together. So that's cool. I need to remember that for future reference. We've got this thing adding a bit of swing or something in there. It's all pretty simple. A frequency shifter pushing it up. Cool. And then we have a chain with the bass stuff. Again, I think we've got this, let's see, crackles running through an auto filter, making a tone. We have it on the PRD setting. Okay. And I think we're using the rate here to produce the kick sound and this saturator with all this crazy wave shaper business. Interesting. Okay. Oh, this is also set to sort of interact with this rate here. Interesting. Okay. That is some serious witchcraft there, but that's just how it goes. That's a lot of fun. I think I'd like to try to build some more of these at some point. And these, it looks like, are just auto running. They're not synced to the tempo, in other words. Cool. You almost get like a different style of sound when you really slow these things down. Cool. Our video is definitely going insane. I'm I'm going to get back in here and just play around with this this little range section here. Dial it in. Cool. Therefore, it's a little more subtle, which is kind of what we want at this point. Very cool. And I guess we could add a little bit of a smooth it out just a bit there. Okay. Call this MIDI to res. And then this is our, oh, did not want to delete that. Bass shaker. And then all right, cool. So that's a good starting point, a good place to begin. I want to do several things actually. I've got several things on the mind to try. I wanted to pull in celebration of now having the convolution reverb at our fingertips. Let's pull that in and drop it here. And I wanted to experiment with making our own impulse response. And there are a lot of ways to do it. Obviously, we could throw in any sounds we want in there. We could use, like in the last sketch, we could use the air gas sound if we want kind of a tonal sound. In fact, I kind of want to hear what that sounds like right now. Let's just pull this thing in there. It looks like it's just not going to take it on the first try. Here we go. How about now? Yes. So you can kind of hear the sample coming through pretty well there. So that's not exactly too useful. I mean, it's something. It's interesting, but I don't think it's what I am envisioning at this point. I want to find the turquoise noise thing and get a little. I got some stereo in there also. And let's just record using our looper, since that's an easy way to make a recording. We could obviously do the resample thing as well, but I just want a little piece of white noise. I'm going to stop that there. Let's bust out a audio track, and I'll drag this out. So now we have some noise there. So pretty much any white noise you can make a impulse response. Let me turn this off here real quick. So let's fade this in, fade this out. What do we got, about like 2 seconds here? Okay, cool. So let's rename this and call this impulse. We'll just call this smear 1. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this because I want to work with that same source sample in just a bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and, whoops, rename this, get rid of some of that garbage that Ableton 10 adds. I understand the reasoning behind them doing that. But for now, we're going to go ahead and just get rid of that. And let's drop that into our convolution plugin and just have a listen. It should sound very, very smeary. Of course, we could stretch it out if we want. Let's put this back at default. It's very intense. In fact, I might want to pull this down even more. Nice, and because we have it swelling, we have kind of a nice, because we have this fading in and out, we have a nice swell going on, I should say. in the impulse response. So let's call this impulse swell, and we'll consolidate that. Control J on the PC. I am going to definitely make a hotkey to get rid of all that garbage text there. We'll do that later. Awesome. And now let's try our swell in there and see what we get. Cool. It's kind of like a reverse type effect. Now let's have a listen to that on this analog. Cool. Let's tighten it up a little bit. So it's pretty easy to make your own impulse responses with a white noise. You can just shape the volume around. It's very almost spectrally sounding. And let's see if we pull this up. I have to say, convolution is one of my all-time favorite effects because it creates a sound potentially and fairly easily that is just easy on the ears and very clean and smooth sounding. All right, let's record some of that. Just playing some white keys here, keeping it simple. Nice, and we can we got a nice little sequence there. I'm gonna play with this some more. I think as yeah, I do like that setting right there. It's a tighter swell. And we could also get rid of our tail here, so we'll get much more of a... I did kind of like a little tail in there. Okay, back to... Oops. Looks like we are trying to follow along on this timeline. Did you not want to follow there? Now, let's try some a weirder style of impulses. We've got... I should probably be normalizing these, and maybe I'll do a little bit of that maintenance after. I want to try to kind of play with a sort of delay type sound. And let's pull this one in a third. Actually, we'll do a third here. And then it gets tighter and tighter. We need to shorten it up also, I think. And pull it in just a little bit. Pull this in. Okay, and that should maybe do it for this example. Let's go ahead and normalize these, and when you consolidate, it takes the first clip in the series and uses that name. So we'll call this bounce down one, or impulse bounce down one. So let's select them all. Control J. All right, impulse bounce down one. Let's go one step further. I'm gonna locate this in the... Here is that. Let's Control J it again. So now we at least have some kind of fade out. Well, let's try both versions here. Let me see, which one is this one? I just lost track. It's probably the second one. Okay, bounce down. We'll call this one bounce down fade out. Fade out. And this just will be regular old bounce down one. And let's give it a shot. I like this effect. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to group it. I'm going to duplicate this chain, Control D on the PC, and then on the second one, I'll go ahead and just turn this one off for now. Second one, I'm going to try the bounce. Bounce down, non-fade out first. Let's go ahead and reset these. Cool. It does like an interesting delay-ish kind of sound, delay, and it's interesting. It makes it sort of sound like it's behind me and to my left a little bit. I like that sense of space that it brings. Okay, let's take it a step further. It's fun to play with impulse responses. They're really easy to make with white noise, as you can see. Let's try reversing this. Where are we? Okay. Yep, that's good. That's good. Now. Cool. Let's try again with some shorter tail here. Well, what happens if we just use these in, I guess, in tandem? Let's play with the size of this one. Okay, that's kind of nice overall. And I now want to hear what this bouncy one is going to do over here on the beat. It's interesting. Now you can't really change the timing of it, but it's still an interesting. Very cool. Now I want to hear what this is going to sound like if I really squash it down. Right now we're at 4824, and I want to hear what we get when we sample it down and resample it to, let's do 1105. And we'll resave this as, I'm just curious what different different sample rates sound like. Maybe it'll be warmer. 11025. 8-bit. And I'm pretty sure I know just what mono would sound like in there. I think because it's a white noise, I'm not even really noticing a huge difference, to be honest. Cool, and that is 44 kilobytes, you know, super efficient. You could have a ton of those. It's just a different character altogether, but the way it morphs things sort of together, it's a nice effect. Cool. I definitely have to take advantage of some automation on those two knobs. Obviously, if you want to do some more basic sounding stuff, there you have it for your more basic sounding beat-oriented kind of music. Let's pull these in here and then give them a bit of a, we got a global wet and dry on these. I guess I can go ahead and pop that one all the way up. And I wanted to play with just the high end pushing through this. Nice. We could try an auto filter, see what we get, difference we get. It might be a little more predictable. Or just what the doctor ordered. Awesome sauce. Okay, so looks like we don't need these anymore. We could just keep going. I mean, if you add effects to these, like a phaser, you get all kinds of, you get different types of sounds, tonal stuff like a corpus, you're going to get a very unique style. I'm curious if, you know, what would it would sound like if we tried to make a more traditional sounding reverb. Is it the impulse? Yeah, so the traditional sounding reverb is going to be a quick snap as far as I know, and then we'll pull this down and then we'll stretch it out. Let's just hear what it sounds like. Yeah, see, that gunshot kind of sound is a very typical way a lot of classic impulse sounds kind of sound. And this grain size thing is going to definitely add a bit of a we could also run this through procedural reverb, such as, now that I'm seeing this thing pulse, I'm like okay, I'm good on that. You know, it's like pulling me away from being able to focus. So I think we could just adjust the fall and the rise and just kind of leave it, and maybe even pull this down a little bit. There, so it's maybe just slightly, ever so slightly. So it seems a bit gimmicky in some ways, but okay. So now we can, we'll just call this fake verb for now. I'll leave that very snappy. Fake verb 1. Let me duplicate this impulse smear. We do not want, oops, to fully get rid of our original source there. So we'll just select these two here. Control J, and let's samples. Okay, cool. Fake verb. All right, and let us put both of these in a group, and in the group we'll have a convolution reverb. We'll call this Mondo Convo. And actually, no, I don't want the whole thing. Just I just want this one. Copy, paste. Drop our fake verb in there. stretch it out a little bit. And then the size essentially pitches it down. And one way we can EQ it is, well, let's see. Let's just use our wet dry here. And in the wet, we're going to put this. We're going to put it full blast. I'll go ahead and turn the EQ off in there and then add a EQ8 before it. Or not. Sometimes the GUI is a little finicky. Okay. Lots of bass, yes. There, so essentially we've created ourselves kind of a pseudo reverb. I mean, it's basically a fake impulse, but it sounds, you know. Okay, cool. I think I might be good with messing about with impulses for now. Now that I'm hearing this analog thing go over and over again, I'm definitely feeling like it needs a probability gate. Things are just happening a little too same old. So we'll use this newfound probability gate max for life patch. And this, we don't have any probability anything, since it's just kind of being run on its own with its own oscillator. It's like we have a shaker, a guy with a shaker, and he's deaf, and he's just sort of playing at whatever rhythm he is that insensitive? No, he's just playing to the beat of his own drum. I do kind of like it when it's really sped up. It's almost like a way more textural and cool. And let's get some faster sections here. Let's yeah, without this playing, it's definitely a much different vibe. I was just throw a random on there and make it weird, instant weird. But there's also the scale that kind of brings everything around. So if we want to do C major. So interesting reverb setup here. Still trying to decide if I like it. We could also put a chorus before there, and this will add more flavor. Nice. And I kind of feel like I want to hear a reversing effect in there. I did run across a reverser, Max for Live, audio effect, FP reverse, and I gotta say, it's not bad, honestly. It's not as good as the kilohertz reverse effect, which is pretty awesome because it just kind of runs on its own. This one you have to use to kind of nudge it a little bit. You'll see what I mean. You have to basically turn on a button, push a button to make it capture some content to reverse. Oops, I didn't want to pull that one over. So let's drop this in here. Let's get a gate in there as well. Pull some audio from our group. It's hard not to get super ambient when you got a bunch of convolution happening. It's just the nature of the beast. All right, so effects. Let's go ahead and hit play there, and let's hear what we get with this reverser. All right, let's give it more. Something about the reverse effect, style effect. It's just a timeless sound. Maybe that's because it gives us that feeling that maybe we could go back in time and change things. No. I think we just like it because it creates you can take the same sound and almost create an alien, otherworldly, whole other second sound. So, it's pretty smooth. I don't hear any clicks on it, which is nice. All right, so I want to go ahead and pull this fake verb over to here. And let's get a compressor in on this. Pull some from the bass shaker. Awesome. Okay. A very sparse type of sound, honestly. I'm now going to entertain this one note and some kind of silly, fast bass line. Let's do a -24 and an arpeggiator. With definitely got to play with that envelope there. Maybe too fast. We want this over here, so we're affecting each and every note coming out of the arpeggiator. Cool. Let's do -24. And How can we further destroy this? We could play with the envelope. Shorten it up quite a bit there. I know there is a loop function in here. Yeah. Immediately goes into a ridiculous, you know, idiom zone. Which, you know, now that I'm hearing all this sweet analog stuff, I'm like, do we want that craziness right now? Well, I'm willing to just sort of entertain the thought. Definitely something. I do like the convolution echoes together. Well, it's something. Definitely feels like something big is coming. This is the scene when everything is in slow motion and there's like some crazy, you know, alien zombie robot North Korean army just sort of slowly coming over the horizon to take over America. Yeah, these combo verbs definitely give it a very lo-fi sort of feel. And at this point, you know, we could either sort of kill some of that bass there. It's more of a kind of a texture in a way. And let's see, what kind of combo do we have going on here? Oh, we've also got some crazy business. And what effects do we have? Instruments. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, we were messing around with this the other day. This was a good time. But we don't really need the bass inside of this now that I'm thinking about it, because we've got that other bass. So we could just mute that. Save ourselves some cycles. Wow, and this kick is so flat, it's flatter than Kansas. Of course, until you drop a drum bus, which is just makes everything bigger. Not getting much from this hi-hat at all. I guess it's not turned off. Maybe somehow notes are just not making it that far. I'm sure there's a reason for it. Maybe the melody on thing is affecting it. Yeah, this is definitely some rather gnar sounding industrial. Oh wow. Oh, so that I dropped that on our bass, our aggro bass. Because it's so aggressive. I really wanted to hear it on this. It definitely brings it into the space. Well, that's intense. I mean, you know, if you really want to be perceived as tough as a musician, you need tracks like this. No one's going to take you seriously otherwise. This is just some, you know, some ridiculous tough guy shit right here. I do like the really tight, almost closet space this particular version of the convolution puts in there. Yeah, we definitely lost some of the cool effects on that. Without our convolution, we are no one. But hey, I guess we gotta explore some tougher tracks after doing some, you know, really boring ambient kind of stuff. Gotta switch it up. Gotta, you know, keep things interesting. Did not want to do that. Okay. I think if we get rid of this, yeah, got rid of that. Oops. Let's delete that. I need to turn this off. Okay. Let's do 100%. I just want to hear more notes. And let's pull down the... Yeah, it's a lot more textural, guttural down there. And if we put in a high pass, gosh, we could get crazy and do a high 24. If we really crank the res, we're gonna get a lot of sub out of our kick. All right, let's automate you. And it's pretty incessant right now in terms of notes. I think I see. Okay, so do we have a note in here? No, I think I just had hit a note on the keyboard there. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and sync these up. And I want to get back to this idea. Everything has a really interesting space in this track with those convolution reverbs. I like some of those strange little ricochet echoes happening in the background. And I might want to just play around with some of the moving the convolutions around a bit. Like, try one on here. I don't see what happens if I give it just. Also mono. If you want it to sound really lo-fi like you were using actual old school hardware, you just make everything mono. It's the cheap trick for that. I personally like a lot of stereo, a lot of headphone fun. Let's automate this around. So sometimes we get the grit and the. Sometimes we don't. You look good to me. You sexy automation, you. I wanted to have a sort of stop in here, like every now and then we get the note stop. So I think the way to do that is to add in We could drop in our probability gate in here. We've already got a lot of probability happening there anyways. Let's group this, pull this thing out. Let's mini-map this to that. Call this gate. And actually map the button to that speaker. So every, let's say, every 10 we're just gonna have this thing pull out every now and then. No notes every now and then. Cool. And I'm gonna go ahead and raise this to 20. Copy and paste, I'll duplicate all this, and then have a much larger set of note offs right here. And I'm going to pull this like right off of the measure so that it's a little more odd in its timing. So let's drop a grain delay right in here, and cool, we'll get back to that. We'll sit on that idea for a minute. Liking some of the weird chirps and sort of weirdo whale noises, I guess you could say. Wow, that's a real industrial. Let's just have that one bump on every now and then. Might get tired of it in a bit, but oh, hey, hi, what's up? I thought I was gonna crash there for a second. Just like in the last sketch, we get those jitter glitches, and then I start to worry. It's probably just because we have way too much way too much nonsense with the video playing at the same time. Yeah, and I think also we lost our video nonsense. Not that it was any good really, because we added a high pass to that. So wherever we could just put this on the master if we felt like it, but. Sometimes like to just thrash on an EQ, just really give it hell, you know? And doing this, you know, it's about the equivalent of like a randomizer LFO with a bit of a smoother on it. But I think you can get some interesting variations, some subtleties that will pop out if you do this in just the right way. Or it'll just sound like garbage. One of the two. But, no such thing as a bad sound. Said a deaf person, I guess. Alright, let's save this. After that last crash scare, I, you know, can't be too sure. Alright, back to this thing. Where were we even going with this? I do like the dropouts on the kick for this thing, and it'd be cool to have like a little, every now and then, you know, we could just have like a little beep or some weird percussion thing happen. More on the steady. Really push it up, and let's quarter her out there. My last name is Quarter, so we're gonna add a chord. Doesn't get any more cheesy and bad humor than that. Hey, but this is a bad humor safe space. When you're just sketching, anything is possible. I'm not sure if this is the sound we really want, but computer. It's definitely some computer love. You know, and at this point where I'm just like, okay, what is this generic ass sound? That's when I really start to get aggressive with you know, a lot of effects. Oh yeah, R2D2 in the house. We could really rip it up, FM style. Yeah, almost kind of turned it into sort of a hi-hat style. Really tight. Yeah, can't you just see a whole room full of people with like black lipstick, lots of leather straps, and black leather pants and boots, just like, you know, just head nodding, subtly head nodding to this, with, you know, nary a smile, of course, and enough black eyeliner to just, you know, kill a giraffe. That would be what they call a misery of goths, or in this case, a misery of industrial goths. Got your murder of crows, your speed of DJs, and your misery of goths. Wow, it's like this R2D2 is just too happy. There we go. Trash it even more. Let's trash the tone out of it. Well, you know, it's really nothing to write home to mom about, honestly. Unless, of course, your mom is a goth. Then, you know, maybe she'd love it. I don't know. I still want to do more, you know. Let's just see what happens when we play with that tempo. I guess this is kind of at the end of the track, you know. You let the track play out a lot, and then you sort of just start mangling the tempo down, you know. Oh, you could slow it down. Yeah, there you go. You get the award for the most cliched song ending move, or set ending. You know, this is like the end of the set. The goths are super worn out from just standing there and scowling. And then we do our just cliche as hell. Oh yeah. You get maybe one whoop from the goths. They're just so apathetic. Or it's really not cool to whoop. So the person that does whoop, they're new to gothism. They really don't goth enough. They're not goth enough. Yeah, make it too much silly noises. Goths don't acknowledge their feelings of having fun. All right, so maybe a little slower on this one. kind of like the, you know, the more like early Speedy J kind of sound. If we were wanting to really do the Speedy J thing, you know, we'd just crank the distortion on the end here. Cool. Well, I feel like we got some stuff done, and that's good, and it always feels good to get anything done. But covering the ground of creating some sweet action impulse responses for ourselves down the road. I'm probably going to convert all these down into this really small file size wise so that we can just continue on our silly quest of keeping our master sketch project down as skinny as possible for everybody in Indonesia and Uganda to be able to download easy on their beachside DSL. Cool. Well, until next time, keep it goth.